So just yeah, your view on the dollar and the euro is quite interesting in terms of you're bullish on gold and silver, but you do have a view that the dollar, you think potentially when we go into this crisis, that the dollar traditionally is seen as a safe haven, and therefore potentially it could rally. And it's interesting, obviously we're seeing that in recent months, and I think you've made that call in recent months. So presuming that continues to be your view, that we may see more dollar strength in the short term before we see the dollar roll over.
Well, when people are worried or when there's turmoil, they traditionally have looked for a safe haven. At the moment, there are not many safe havens that people think are safe. The euro, they certainly don't. So the British pound, they certainly don't. So I would suspect that the dollar will get stronger and stronger the more turmoil comes. It will get overpriced. It could even turn into a bubble mark, depending on how bad the turmoil is. I hope that at that point, if it turns into a bubble, I'm smart enough to sell it and put my money somewhere else, because the dollar, as I've said, it's the largest debtor nation in the history of the world, and it's getting worse. It's not getting better. So it's not going to be a safe haven down the road.
And then in terms of the other major currency, the euro, what's your view there in terms of the problems in the Eurozone? Obviously, we've Brexit now as well, and what's happened there in recent days is just, I think people are realising that it could get very messy indeed in terms of it doesn't look like it's going to be an amicable divorce there.
Well, it's not just the British. There are many separatist movements throughout the EU now. Many countries want to break. There are people in many countries that want to break up, and many that want to leave the EU. So there's going to be more turmoil. And as things get bad, when things get bad, politicians always look for somebody to blame. It's easy to blame the foreigners. Throughout history, they blame the foreigners. The foreigners have different languages, different food, different religions, different everything. They smell bad. The food smells bad. They blame everything. And so when things get bad, Brexit's going to be, the EU is going to come under a lot more pressure, as is the currency, and it's just going to make the next bear market even worse.
Yeah, your ex-partner George Soros he's warned frequently about contagion EU, and he thinks it's a real risk. So you share that view, and do you think the euro itself will survive, or you think we'll potentially go back to the lira, peseta, the punt, and the various national currencies?
Well, the euro will not survive as we know it. That's for sure. I hope a euro survives. When they started, if they'd done it properly and hadn't tried to bring in everybody in the neighborhood, it might have been better sound. It would have been sounder, that's for sure. So hopefully the sound ones will stay together. It will be many fewer, and because the world needs something to compete with the U.S. dollar. The U.S. dollar is terribly flawed. If we had a sound euro, it could compete with the dollar. So the euro, as we know it, is not going to survive because it's not sound. It's not properly structured. I don't know. I doubt if it will, but I hope something comes out of this on the other side. But other than that, the Japanese have gigantic debts. The only potential currency I see would be the Chinese renminbi. They've got the population, they've got the size of an economy. They're not a huge debtor like the U.S. and Britain and other countries. So conceivably, coming out the other side, the new reserve currency, new medium of exchange, will be the renminbi. That's absurd to say right now, Mark. The renminbi is a blocked currency. You can't even buy it and sell it. Yeah. It's become more open every year, but it's still. By then, if the renminbi is open, totally, completely convertible, completely liquid, maybe the renminbi would replace the U.S. dollar. I don't see anything else.